Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Grow Tent, everybody. You have found the best growing channel on YouTube, man. The place where we simplify the approach for you so everyone can learn how to grow. We make it so simple, even I can understand. So I'm going to listen and learn right now.
Woo! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Grow Tent. We got a great episode for you today. Today we're going to be talking about what I do on a weekly basis. I kind of do a full inspection of everything, plants, equipment, tent, etc., and how adding this one simple, I would say, chore to it, because it is pretty much a chore. But you guys all like hanging out in your tents all the time anyway, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal for you. But we're going to talk about how adding this one simple step. Yeah, step. I like that better. Sounds better than short. We're going to talk about how adding this one simple step can save you a ton of heartache, get a hold of problems before they even begin. And I'm going to walk you through the steps of what I do on a weekly basis to prevent these things and to stay one step ahead of what I think the garden's going to need, the future needs, and how to avoid problems before they even begin by doing this one quick thing. But first, we got to do the intro, everybody's favorite part. You don't like this part? Skip about 2 minutes ahead. You go right past it. Guys, if you haven't joined our Patreon yet, you should check it out. We got some of the best growers on the planet, and you get to hang out with me, GT, on a one-by-one basis. We do video consults. You can a messenger system that I answer every single day, and it's a really cool way to support the channel because YouTube doesn't allow us to be monetized because we're mean and nasty C-word growers. So thanks everybody that joins Patreons. We have the second biggest Patreon in the canna industry, and so it's much appreciated anytime you guys support the channel that way. Guys, also please remember to like, comment, subscribe, watch the full video, all that kind of cool stuff. I know everybody's like, oh, why do you always say like? It actually really does help share the videos, get the videos out in the algorithm, that kind of stuff. If you're looking for the Mars Hydro ad, it's a 1 minute one, so it's going to be at the end of the video instead of the beginning. We got to do 2 of those a month where we do a 1 minute ad for Mars Hydro. But if you're looking for any kind of new light and tent, etc., stuff like that, make sure you stay tuned after the video ends to watch the advertisement and use our discount code. All right. Boom, that's enough of the intro. All right, let's get ready to start talking about today's episode right now. Woo! We are back in some of the best dang merch ever. This is actually our Gundam series of shirts. They sold out. Actually, all of them do. As you can see, the shirt shelves are completely empty. We had 600 t-shirts and we sold them out in 27 minutes. All 600. As soon as they drop, within 27 minutes. I didn't even, you guys notice, usually I do a merch drop for the Patreon and then one for the YouTube channel. There was no YouTube channel drop. The entire order sold out in less than 30 minutes. All 600 shirts, gone. I guess you guys like the designs too. I think they're pretty cool. I could design them all myself. All right, let's get today's episode started. Stop. Focus, GT. Calm down. Relax. All right, I got the script for today's episode right here. I like to write all my stuff down so I don't miss any bullet points whenever I'm talking to you guys. Okay, so today we're talking about how I do and how I go through my weekly inspections of my tent. This is different than, just kind of peeking in, taking an overall glance of what's going on in the garden. Because, you do that practically every day. You just look in and be like, oh yeah, everything's looking good. Or, oh yeah, everything looks like crap. Which, I don't have to deal with that, but I know some of you guys do, so. This is a more in-depth thing that I do every single week, and what you'll find is by incorporating this into your just weekly routine, you can actually save yourself a ton of headaches, and you'll find that your percentage of grows that don't come to fruition or to your max yield that you're looking for will drop dramatically. So we're going to kind of take this by point basis of what I do once every single week. Usually I do it on the same day that's a like training day, or when I'm kind of planning for what I'm going to do my training, maybe on the weekend. So like every, let's say Wednesday, we're just going to call Wednesday is our inspection day. And as I said, this is going to be a way more extensive inspection because we're going to go through everything. We're going to look at our couple of our main areas. We're going to look at all the equipment. We're going to check under the plants, which is, we'll call that like the pot and media area of the grow. And then we're going to check for the third, we're going to check the actual plants themselves. I know you're thinking, well, shouldn't you just be mainly focusing on the plants? Yeah, we look at the plants all the time. What we don't check all the time is the underside of the canopy, which is the pot area. Usually you're just like, oh yeah, that's where the food and water goes. Okay, yes, I understand. That's where the food and water goes. But we actually do have to keep that area up and clean also whenever we're doing this. So we have three main focus points: equipment, underneath the plants, pot area, and then the actual plants. So those are going to be our three main topics of what we're looking for. So we'll start off with the underside of the plants, the pot area, the soil, all that kind of soil, media, whichever one you want to call it. So in the pot and soil area, first thing we're going to look for is, you're going to look at your soil. Is there a bunch of leaf debris in it? Is there mushrooms growing out of it? Is there powdery mildew, mold, mildew, any of that kind of stuff? And those are the three main things we're going to check for, and bugs. Of course, we're going to look for bugs also. But generally in the soil, they are typically a little bit harder to see because they usually live in the soil. But if you got enough of them, you will see them too. They'll crawl up all around the pot edge and stuff like that. And if you see that, you don't want to. It's time to get some diatomaceous earth in there, spray some neem oil, whatever. So the first thing we're looking for is, let's look for bugs. Do we see anything? Do we see any evidence of it? Do we see fungus gnat larvae crawling through? They look like little maggots is what they look like. If you've never seen fungus gnat larvae, they look like maggots because that's what they are. They're just little like inchworm looking things that will crawl through your soil. And if you see that, throw some diatomaceous earth in there and they'll be dead in a few days and you won't ever have to worry about them again as long as you stop overwatering. All right, and so the next thing we're going to look for is, that I'll look for is my soil height level. So whenever you initially fill up a pot with the soil, you may have brought it all the way up to the top rim of the soil, but what you'll notice is as you water and water and water, every time you water, that soil will fluff up and then compact and compact and compact. And before you know it, after 3 or 4 weeks, the soil level might be 4 inches down from the top. Hey, can we throw some more soil in there? Yeah, you dang straight we can. We'll top that back off. So that's one of the things I'm checking for. Do you see any mushrooms? Do you see any mold or mildew growth? And if you do see mushrooms, back off the watering, increase airflow. Same remedy if you see powdery mold or mildew forming in your underside area. You don't want that stuff growing down there. It's not good. Increase your airflow down in the bottom of the tent and back off your watering. So the same, you'll find that a lot of solutions to these problems are all the same because they have a systemic effect on the whole plant. So it doesn't just affect one area plant, it affects multiple. So you got powdery mildew down here, now you got powdery mildew up here. Increase the airflow, back off the watering. What else are we gonna do? We're gonna look at the equipment. Also, make sure your pots aren't broken. Most people don't have a problem with that, but occasionally with plastic pots, they'll break. You won't even notice, and then they spill soil and stuff out. Not very often. But the leaf debris, make sure you clean all that stuff up. Clean all the stuff off the ground. Don't leave that stuff in the bottom of your tent. It attracts bugs. That's one of the main ways you attract bugs into a garden is all that decaying plant material. Bugs love it. They want to eat it. So they'll go in there and start, don't give them an invitation to come into your garden. You know what I mean? So clean it all up every week. What else we're going to do? We're going to check equipment. I know, most people are like, lights are on, tents must be working great. Check that the fans are still working. Check your exhaust fan still working. Make sure the ducting going to your exhaust fan, make sure the tape hasn't blown out on one side. Just give it a look. I know what happens is most people set up the tent and they never check this stuff again. And, this used to be a way bigger deal whenever we were dealing with like HPS lights, but with the heat would start blowing in and kill the whole garden whenever it would get that hot. But it's not as big a deal today, but just check it. It's going to take you 5 seconds to look through all the equipment and make sure it's all working. Make sure there's no lights on some piece of equipment that you didn't notice before. Check stuff in the dark too. A little light off a piece of equipment that you didn't notice will ruin an entire garden. You'll herm the whole thing out just because you didn't take an extra minute and check. All right, so check that kind of stuff out. All right, now the biggest one, the biggest of the three, we saved it for last because it's usually the most in-depth to talk about. We're going to talk about what we're looking for on the plant during our weekly inspection. Once again, we're looking for bugs. Do you see any signs of bugs? Do you see any bug damage on the leaves? Do you see, grab a couple fan leaves off from different plants, pluck them off and look at the underside. I'll pull leaves from the top of the plant, the middle of the plant, and the bottom of the plant because different bugs like different leaves or different heights of the plant. So I will pull leaves, big fan leaves from each section of the plant, and I will turn them over and look at them. I'll break out my loop. I'll look in the loop if I see anything kind of suspicious. Check out your plants. Look at them. Put your hands on them. Once again, we talk about bugs all the time. A lot of people have problems with bugs. We don't want problems with bugs. Let's see, what else can we do whenever we're looking at what's your overall health of the plant look like? Do you have a plant over here that looks like it's sicker than the others? Do they all look pretty good? Do they all look pretty crappy? Find out what's going on with your plants, because most of us, we just come in, look at the top of the plant, I'm like, all right, everything looks good, and shut it down. Take that individual plant and actually look at it. Spin it around if you're not tied down in a scrog net and flour. Look all over it. What do you see? What do you think you see? You have a question about it, send me an email. I'll get back with you if I can. Let's see. Another thing I'm looking at while I'm looking at that particular plant, I'm individualizing that particular plant, I'm pulling leaves off. I kind of make a plan in my head for what kind of training, shaping I'm going to be doing while I'm doing this inspection. What do I need to maximize, if I'm still in veg, how can I get this plant widest, fastest, along with the other plants? What kind of training methods am I going to need to implement this weekend whenever I do my training? Am I going to really focus on super cropping? What am I going to do to maximize this area to get through veg quicker so I can get it into flower quicker? If I'm already in flower, then I'm looking at, can I reach new squares of the trellis? When do I think I'll be able to reach that new square? And then I kind of make a mental note so I don't miss trying to absorb my stretch. All right, now the biggest thing we're going to be looking for on the plants, if this will pertain mainly to flower, but every single week we are extremely looking for is nanners. Nanners, if you don't know what they are, they look like little bananas coming off of your buds, and we do not want to see them. Well, you don't want to see them. I want to see them, but I'm making them on purpose. You're not. So if you're not making them on purpose, if you're not trying to pollinate your gardens, which I am, but I make them a different way than what we're talking about here. So whenever you're not trying to make nanners, this is what's going to these are the things that are going to cause one of the main things that will cause your whole garden to be seeded, which we don't want seeds. I know I do, you don't. And anytime your plants get seeded or pollinated, the quality of your THC, the amount of THC, and the amount of bud you get all dramatically reduced, because once the plant has accepted pollen, they don't want to grow big buds anymore, and they won't. I mean, mine still will, but once again, we're doing it in a different way. So you lose a lot of your yield whenever you start making seeds, because the plant doesn't need to make more bud because it already has the genetic material to replicate itself. Its mission is accomplished, and it doesn't want to do that anymore. So one of the things you're going to want to look for is nanners. And the main place that nanners are going to show up are the lower part of the plant. The part of the plant that doesn't get as much light is the upper part of the plant. So it makes it extremely hard for you to find them. Or on the converse, it makes it extremely easy for you to miss them. And we don't want to miss nanners, because if we catch them soon enough, if we're vigilant enough looking for them, even if you get a plant that's going to be bringing them in or getting a nanner, you can actually, either kill off the plant, or you can spray it down with water and remove the nanners before they take off. And as long as they don't pollinate, you don't let them drop pollen, which from the time the nanner starts to barely show up to the time it releases pollen is about 2 weeks. So you actually have the time, if you can watch them close enough to where they, even if you have a plant that is starting to do that, you can prevent them from pollinating anything, because just one nanner can pollinate an entire tent. So if you get a nanner that's like by a fan, and whole tent pollinate. So nanners is one of the biggest things you're going to look for. And if for the new growers, how much effort you put into paying attention to the nanners can really save your grow. So it's one of the things you're going to be looking for the most is nanners, which sucks is you're going to just have to get under there, especially if you're tied down under a trellis. You have to crawl under there every week and inspect the bottom of your plants. Look for them. If you see them, destroy them. All right, but those are pretty much my bullet points for my weekly inspection and what I do, not just my kind of like my overall glance of the garden, which is, nine times out of 10 if I'm in there every day because I'm filming or doing whatever. It's one thing, but you guys shouldn't be messing with your plants every day. You don't need to. I know you want to, but you don't need to. But your weekly inspections, just kind of going over those 3 bullet points of equipment, under the canopy, the potting area, media area, and then going over the plants. Just doing those 3 inspections, a thorough inspection, not a half-ass, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, it looks shitty like always. Going through and actually inspecting the plant, inspecting those 3 areas, they will save you a ton of time and a ton of heartache from ruined gardens just by implementing a inspection plan weekly. All right? That's enough for today's episode. I'll see you guys next time. GT. Oh, that was a terrible one. Frame. If you're looking for any kind of new light, new tint, anything like that, Mars Hydro is the main sponsor of the channel. No matter what size tint you have, no matter what light you need, what your budget is, they have a light or a tint or pretty much, they make all the equipment now. Any piece of equipment that you would want or need, they have in stock. And if you use the code WTTGT, you get an extra discount whenever you check out. So if you're thinking about buying anything, any kind of new stuff, please think about checking out Mars Hydro, and they'll hook you up. All right. Frame. If you're looking for any kind of new light, new tint, anything like that, Mars Hydro is the main sponsor of the channel. No matter what size tint you have, no matter what light you need, what your budget is, they have a light or a tint or pretty much, they make all the equipment now. Any piece of equipment that you would want or need, they have in stock. And if you use the code WTTGT, you get an extra discount whenever you check out. So if you're thinking about buying anything, any kind of new stuff, please think about checking out Mars Hydro, and they'll hook you up. All right.